What's up, everybody? I'm David Hain. Welcome to episode 228 of the A to D From Addict to Disciple podcast. And you guys know what to do. If you enjoy the podcast, like, share, subscribe, follow, do whatever you can to get the word out there, and I sure appreciate it. If you want to get our curriculum, you can get the From Ashes to Destiny book on Amazon in paperback or ebook. And without any further ado, we're going to get right into this episode number 228, entitled Patience Park. This episode came about because my good friend Michael, who's been working with me for several months now, has said, David, the thing that I'm struggling with is patience. The thing that I'm struggling with is knowing what to do and what to say in certain situations, and having patience with lots of people, whether they're my mentor, my sponsor, my counselor, my loved ones, friends, just people in the street, in stores, whatever. I just struggle with my patience, and I guess I've always been an impatient sort of guy. So can you help? And I said, yeah, Michael, let's do a podcast, and we'll go to a place called Patience Park and walk through it together. So that's where this one came about. And we're at the start of the park now, and there's a sign that says, patience attracts happiness. It brings near that which is far. And it says this is a Swahili proverb, which is sort of suggesting that looking forward to happy moments and waiting for them can bring them into the present. You got that? So if we look forward to happy moments and then patiently wait for them, before you know it, they're in the present. And just our patience can bring them into the present. And this is a way that can restore hope and happiness to us and sustain us. That hope and happiness can sustain us while we're waiting for things to happen. So, Michael, what do you think about that opening to this park? Yeah, David, and as I said, I struggle with patience, and I don't know that it's attracted happiness to me whenever I've tried to be patient. It does attract curiosity. People say, what are you doing? Just sitting there quiet. You're usually all talkative. But I guess if I would allow that as a thing that actually brought someone closer to me, and I had the idea of talking to them and listening to them, it could work out. Yeah, that's a good start, Michael. And, I think it's good for all of us to remember that patience isn't just in conversations, just as patience isn't something we only use while we're waiting in the doctor's office or the dentist's office, or when someone puts us on hold when we're calling a customer service department to see what's up with our shipment. Patience can really be a lifestyle. So let's go down to the first sign in this park and see what it's all about. And the first sign is a two-sided sign, and the one side says Proverbs 15 and 18, quote, hot tempers cause arguments, but patience brings peace. What do you think about that, Michael? Well, David, that's the deal. Often when someone challenges me or disrespects me, or they just don't listen to me, that's when I feel my temper rising. I get hot under the collar, so to speak, because I feel like they don't care. I feel like I'm not important to them. And, that's when I lose my cool and arguments do start. So I guess this one's speaking to me to say that, my arguments and my hot temper are the polar opposite of patience, and maybe I can lessen those by learning patience. Let's see what the other side of the sign says, Michael. And it's a quote by Mahatma Gandhi. It says, to lose patience is to lose the battle. Bingo. Yeah, David, I'm usually the one to slam the door, to storm off, to stomp away, and then I don't know how to come back. And, this really hits home with me. That's why I said bingo, because when I do lose my patience, I don't even know that I caused a battle by walking away. I thought my only battles were when I argue and lose my temper and get into arguments. But looking at it now with this sign, I realize that when I come back after storming away, I don't even know how to apologize. I don't know where to start. And I find myself just ignoring it like nothing happened, which surely isn't a good way to go. So I think we'll try to put this one to use. Okay, let's go down to the next sign. And it says, it's an anonymous quote. And it says, patience is when you're supposed to get mad, but you choose to understand. Well, I think they're talking to you, Michael. Yeah, wow, David. I never even thought that choosing to understand the other person is a way of showing patience. I jump too quickly to get mad because I'm trying to make my point, and it's hard to keep my mouth shut if I think I have a point to make. So I guess I need to choose to understand, choose to be a better listener, and hope it works out. You got any clues for me, David? Yeah, Michael. I think the key is when you feel that you're trying to make a point, pause, take a deep breath, maybe more than one deep breath, and allow that sort of inner peace to settle in, and then consciously make that decision to try to understand the other person rather than trying to convince them of your point. Okay, David, let's go down to the next sign. Okay, here it is. It says, this is a quote by Francis de Sales, and it says, have patience with all things, but first of all, with yourself. So, David, this is hitting me from all angles in this park. I've spent decades of instant gratification, decades of trying to just chase the next thing and find it quickly, and decades of being angry at myself and not liking myself. And how do I have patience with myself? Well, Michael, what do you find that you're pressuring yourself on right now? David, it's around recovery. Recovery, as you know, is a slow process. And I don't have the patience with myself for the slowness of the progress I'm making in the midst of the process. It seems to me like recovery's as much of a storm as addiction was. I can understand that, Michael. And again, if we wait patiently for the storm to blow over, it will. And recovery, you'll find, if it feels like a storm, it will blow over, and you'll be stronger because you've waited out the storm. Okay, David, let's go down to the next sign. Yeah, this is a quote by Christina Marrero, and it says, maybe that's why life is so precious. No rewind or fast forward, just patience and faith. Wow, David, that is so true. I've been that guy who always pushes rewind because I want to go back and do over what I messed up. And I've been the guy who always pushes fast forward because I want to rush and get to the finish. I want to rush and get to the goal. I don't want to have to do the hard work to get there. And it's like I've been in recovery. I just want to know that I've attained recovery, not that I'm still plodding along one day at a time. And, in the midst of this, that quote says patience and faith. And I can tell you I'm learning to grow my faith as I embrace the spiritual aspect of my recovery. And I think that might be a good way for me to learn better patience, to incorporate my spiritual walk more deeply into all of the things that steal my patience in the present. Wow. Good idea, Michael. I think that would be an awesome thing for you. Okay, we're coming to the end of the park here. And there's just one last quote, and it's by Abraham Lincoln. And it says, "I am a slow walker, but I never walk back." Can you get that, Michael? Yeah, David, that one hits me right between the eyes, because I feel like every time I slip or relapse, I've fallen back 1,000 miles. And I don't know how to get the focus to continue to be a slow walker, continue to walk forward every day. As I said, I'm impatient and I want to run. And how do I get all this to work together here to grow my patience? Well, Michael, you reminded me of something my grandfather said to me when I was a little boy. And he lived in the city, and often when I would see him on a Saturday morning, we'd walk a couple blocks down the pavement to the woman's house who sold ice cream out of her front window, so to speak. And I remember one time it was pouring rain, and I was little and still held on to my grandpa's hand at the time. And I wanted to run. I said, Grandpa, let's run. We're getting wet. He said, nope, got to walk. Just walk slow and steady. And we walked and got our ice cream, ate our ice cream on the lady's porch. Vanilla fudge ice cream, by the way, that was his favorite. And then we walked back those couple of blocks to his house through the rain. And just as we got to the stoop outside his front door, he said, David, remember this for, the rest of your life. If you run through the rain, the whole front of your shirt and pants are going to get wet because you're running through the raindrops. It's going to soak through probably to your underwear and your skin, maybe rain running down into your socks. But if you walk, just the top of your head and your shoulders get really wet. So it's wiser to walk through a storm than run through it. And I'm talking about the storms of life. Wow, David, that's a cool story. And I think you're tying it into this Abraham Lincoln quote. He said, I'm a slow walker, but I never walk back. And maybe I need to learn to be a slow walker through the storms of my life. Yeah, that's a good point, Michael. And I want to thank you for taking this walk with me through Patience Park. And I want to thank all the listeners for listening. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can reach out and send me a message by email at davidfromatoD@gmail.com, or go to my website, www.fromatod.org, and click on the contact page. Tune in Monday for our next episode, and as always, stay safe and stay resilient.